Noah and Dr. Wingate. My name is Rukia Umoja,
Remember the Besise?
and we're second year Doctor of Pharmacy students here at Howard University College of Pharmacy, and we'll be critiquing a journal entitled The Efficacy of Two Artemisinin Based Combinations for the Treatment of Malaria in Pregnancy in India, and it was a randomized controlled trial.
Before we dive into our critique, I'm going to share the outline so you guys know what we're talking about and how we're going to go through the article. First, we're going to talk about the background of the malaria and the specific strain they study and its prevalence in India. Then we're going to talk about the method section of the study, include the inclusion, exclusion criteria, and how they recruited the pregnant women. Next, we're going to talk about which statistical tests and analysis they use in order to check the data to see if it was significant or not. Then we're going to critique the paper, talk about the strength, weaknesses, and what they could have improved on. Finally, we're going to go into the conclusion and see how relevant the study is to the general population, then acknowledgement and references.
So, as many are aware, malaria is a major cause of mortality worldwide. In India specifically, the recommended first line treatment for malaria in the second and third trimesters of pregnancy is artesunate and sulfadoxine pyrimethamine, short for AS and SP. However, data on safety and efficacy of artemisinin based combination therapy in pregnancy is very limited. So, this study basically assessed the safety and efficacy of AS and SP and another combination drug, artesunate and mefloquine, short for AS and MQ, for the treatment of Plasmodium falciparum of pregnancy in India. All right, so next I'm going to talk about the methods, the study design, and the population. The study was an open label randomized control trial conducted from October 2010 to December 2013 at 3 different sites in central India. 248 pregnant women were screened at monthly antenatal clinics, and they were screened for P. falciparum monoinfection and were randomized to receive AS and SP or AS and MQ, and all of these women were included in the intention to treat analysis. Now, the objective of this study was to answer the following question: are AS and SP and AS and MQ comparable treatment options for pregnant women in their second or third trimesters?
I'm going to go ahead and talk about the method section, specifically the statistical analysis and the population. For the statistical analysis, the study used both chi-square and t-test in order to test the significance of both the categorical and continuous variable. Treatment efficacy was assessed in both the intention to treat and protocol population. Then a Kaplan-Meier survival analysis was used in order to compare the probability of the medication failing in both arms of the study. Finally, they used the STATA version IC 12.0 in order to analyze the data. For the population, I'm going to talk about some of the inclusion and exclusion criteria they use in order to collect the participant in the study. For this file specific study, all women had to be either in their second or third trimester, and they also had to be infected with the Plasmodium falciparum monoinfection. The congestional age of the women were assessed by an ultrasound. Lastly, in order to be able to participate in this study, all the women had to sign a written informed consent. Some of the exclusion criteria in the study included that the woman could not have a hemoglobin of less than 7 grams per deciliter. They could not be under the age of 18. They could not have taken an anti-malarial medication within the past 7 days. They could not have a known chronic disease, a history of convulsion, among others.
So next I'm going to be talking about the power analysis and the study population versus the target population. So initially in the study, it was estimated that 500 pregnant women with P. falciparum malaria would be needed for inclusion in the trial in order for the power of the study to be 90% to detect a significant difference between the treatment groups at a 95% significance level. As mentioned earlier, however, 248 women were enrolled in the study instead of the initial 500. So, in terms of the study population versus the target population, the study population included pregnant women in their second or third trimester diagnosed with malaria, which was in fact the target population. So, in treatment arm 1, the participants received artesunate 200 milligrams daily for 3 hours with sulfadoxine 1500 milligrams and pyrimethamine 75 milligrams on day 1. Now, in treatment arm 2, the study participants received artesunate 200 milligrams just like the first treatment, but they also received mefloquine 440 milligrams daily for 3 days. Possible covariates which could have influenced the outcome of the study include age, location, previous pregnancies, and or medical history. Now, the outcome variable of this study was the absence of the malaria parasite from day 3 until day 63 post-treatment.
I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the results they found in the study. As mentioned before, both chi-square and t-test were used in order to determine the significance of both categorical and continuous variable. A binomial exact method was used in order to calculate the confidence interval. Also, a blood sample slab were collected from 125 women from the AS and SP group and 123 women from the AS and MQ group. There were 121 women from the AS and SP group and 118 women from the AS and MQ group who completed the study per protocol, which means they followed everything the physician told them to do. They took the medication, they were basically adherent. Out of the patient in per protocol group, 100% of them, 121 out of 121 in the AS and SP group showed absence of the parasite after day 3. In the other group, the AS and MQ group, only one woman showed presence of the parasite after day 3. So 117 out of 118 showed absence of the parasite after day 3, which was 99.2%. The second figure following that is called a Kaplan-Meier failure estimate. It basically shows the probability of the treatment failing in both arms. As you can see already, the probability of the treatment failing in both arms is extremely low, even though based on the days they alternate of which one is worse. At the end, they were both pretty similar, even though the AS plus SP group showed the treatment failure probability to be less than the AS plus MQ group. They were both low at the end, so they were both similar.
So next, I'm going to be talking about the strengths and the weaknesses that we found within the study. So in terms of the strengths of the study, the treatment allocation envelopes were prepared by an independent statistician, which was really good, and eligible study participants were randomly assigned to either the treatment group by selecting a sealed envelope that contained the treatment code. And then the envelopes were labeled with unique identifier numbers and kept sequentially. Now, for the weaknesses of the study participants were only recruited from 3 different areas in central India, which was very limiting and could possibly lead to selection bias.
I'm going to talk about some of the internal and external validity. I'm going to start with the internal validity. Things are good in the internal validity was that the treatment for both arms was fairly uncomplicated, so which means they had a higher chance of retaining the study participant. Also, the care of patient was similar between the two groups, which reduced bias. There was a strict inclusion and exclusion criteria, which also is a strength of internal validity. Some of the weaknesses of the internal validity included they only had a small sample size, and also they had a risk of reporting bias as it related to adverse event. For external validity, one of the strengths they had was the protocol was actually approved by the ethic committee of MIMR, which is a good thing. But One of the weaknesses of the external validity because their sample size was so small and they only collected participants from three different locations, you could not use the internal validity in order to generalize for the whole public, which means they had a weak external validity. Some of the ways they could have used in order to make the study better was incorporating double blinding. In the study, the physician knew which patients were taking which drug, which could lead to bias. If they introduce double blinding, both the physician and the participant do not know which medicine they're taking. The result will be more reliable and stronger. Next, they could have been more specific in screening for the specific strain of malaria, which is Plasmodium falciparum malaria, because there's a lot of different strains of malaria, so they could have been more specific into that specific strain. Increasing the sample size will also make the study stronger because, as we know, the more people you have in your study, the stronger it is, and it also helps you reduce bias. Another thing they could have done in order to improve the study was to include pregnant women in their first trimester. They only included pregnant women from the second and third trimester. Incorporating all class of pregnancy will also help them increase their external validity.
So now let's revisit the objective of the study, which was to answer the research question: were the two combination treatments comparable in treating pregnant women in their second and third trimesters if they were diagnosed with P. falciparum malaria? And in short, the answer to that question is yes. At the conclusion of the study, both treatments seem to be equally effective for the treatment of P. falciparum malaria in women who are in their later trimesters of their pregnancy. AS and SP were tolerated better than the other combination therapy, but the study indicated that AS and MQ may be slightly more effective at reducing adverse birth outcomes. So thank you so much for listening to us. Finally, we'd like to thank Howard University College of Pharmacy. We'd also like to thank Dr. Wingate and Dr. Maneno for helping cultivate hopefully future epidemiologists and statisticians. We would also like to thank YouTube and Apple, for which none of this would be possible without their technology. So thank you so much for watching and listening.
Thank you for listening and watching us.
All right, have a great day.